There are three things which we usually all struggle with in our daily lives. And these are triggers, it's frustration, and it's defensiveness. Well, usually when we try to get rid of it, our mind creates this romanticized picture of how it is when we don't have it anymore, and we are already so occupied with that mental version of it that we just cling to it instead of actually do the necessary steps to move beyond it, to let go of it. Well, and here's the point. You always need to watch it to resolve it. You really have to go to the core. And when you're with your mental picture of how it should be when it's gone, when it's resolved, that's just a dream, that's just a projection. And then you're moving already further away. And when you're then confronted while you're dreaming with your triggers, with frustration or defensiveness comes up, then it seems like this is what you need to get rid of. And you start to fight with it. And it just even gets worse. But if you look closely and watch it, you will see it from another perspective. What triggers you shows you where you're still identified. What frustrates you shows you where you're still resisting. And what you defend basically shows where you're still attached. So now that you know the keys, when something triggers you, look where you're still identified and what it exactly is that it gets you, instead of clinging to your picture how it should be when you're not identified, and then constantly just trying to force yourself to go into a state of no mind, but actually not really looking of what it is that is in your way. When something frustrates you, it usually shows you where you're still resisting, because then you put a lot of effort into the opposite, that this should not happen. But again, you're always acting also here from the mental image of how it should be when it's not there, and now it is here. Now that's the problem. Now you again try to force it to go away, but that's not the way to resolve it. You're just gonna be able to resolve it by observing it properly, to get really a feel what it is there, what's the belief system, what's laying there behind. Is it wounding, is it not? And the last one is what you defend basically shows you where you're still attached to. Instead of going with a mental judgment, that's not good that I'm attached, I need to get rid of it, because this will lead you again into a pushing away, because it's a negative approach. Try to switch it and really look, okay, now that's interesting that I'm still defending here myself, even if I know that this is not the way. Then what is it that I'm attached to? What is it actually that I'm defending, and why defending am I it? What's in it for me if I defend myself? What do I hope to get out of it? So by actually examining it, by watching it, observing it, this will start to give you an insight into why you're doing it and what you actually want. Because if we just cling to the romanticized picture of this is how it should be when we finally let go of everything, and then our whole approach is just whenever a trigger comes up, frustration arises, or we try to defend ourselves, it's just pushing it down again because it doesn't match our picture of the final version, how we think it might be. It's just the same pattern again of pushing it down. You need to allow it to be there. You need to accept that you might not be there. And this is the only way how you can then resolve it and get a feeling of what's actually going on here. But otherwise, it's not going to help. Basically, resistance is not something that you're gonna get rid of by resisting it again, by pushing it away. Make resistance to the object of your meditation. So when you see again, I don't want to have this, I want to push it away, I want to get deeper, I want to see clearer, then instead of trying to push it down, to go to that romanticized version of this is how no mind should look like, no, watch exactly this. This is usually the knot which you try to loosen up. And that's just possible by properly watching it. So basically you're moving away from I don't want this, this is not how it should be, to making resistance and cravings to the object of your meditation. And that's very uncomfortable because it basically means just to be with it without changing it. But that's the only way how you actually get an insight into craving, resistance, frustration, and triggers. Because the way how we usually dealt with them before is just pushing them down, not looking at them, not feeling it. And this is not going to get you anywhere. So this is a very common trap that we just identify with a picture of how it should be, and then we cling to it and just push everything down again in the name of spirituality and practice. But true practice is to be with what triggers you, what frustrates you, and to make it to your object of your meditation. Peace out.